Hello students, this is Dr. Sujata Magdum, Assistant Professor in Zoology, KTHM College, Nashik. Today, I'll be talking on the subject Biological Chemistry for third year BSc student, and the topic which I'll be dealing with is pH and buffer. Now, what this pH and buffer has to do into living system? You know that the life is sustainable only because there are large number of macromolecules which are showing interaction between themselves. And this interaction is possible because the molecules are seen freely suspended into solutions which are maintained at harmony. Maintained at harmony means the concentration is maintained at certain specific level which enables these molecules to retain their original shape. If there is some changes into the shape or the conformation is changed within the macromolecule, probably the metabolism will not occur and therefore we can say that life will not exist. Hence, it is very essential that whatever macromolecules like the proteins, carbohydrate, lipids or the nucleic acids or vitamins and minerals they are seen present into any living cells, they should be kept in harmony, which is only because they are seen suspended into solutions which has a constant or nearly, you can say, the concentration is maintained. Now, to understand this property, we will have to understand the concept of pH and buffer. Now, let us try to understand what is pH. Now, if you see here, P stands for potential, or it also can be stated to stand for power, and H is denoting hydrogen. Therefore, pH in general I can say is potential of hydrogen or power of hydrogen. Now, to define this pH, we can say it is defined as the negative log of hydrogen ion concentration. And if I want to give this definition in equation, I can say pH is equal to minus log of hydrogen ion concentration. The square bracket actually is defining the hydrogen ion concentration. But actual speaking, the square bracket defines the molar activity of the molecule. Now, this pH is actually the unit of measure which describes the degree of acidity or alkalinity of the solution, and it can be measured between the scale that is 0 to 14. That means when the pH is low, it corresponds to high concentration of H plus ion, and therefore we can say that the solution is acidic. Whereas when the pH is very high, it corresponds to low concentration of H plus ion, indicating that the solution is basic in nature. Now, with this background, we'll try to understand what is pH value. pH value of a substance is directly proportional to always H plus and OH minus ion concentration. If H plus ion concentration is higher than the OH minus ion concentration in a solution, we can say the solution is acidic. This is what I stated here. That is, when there is low pH means it will show more concentration of H plus ion concentration. Obviously, the concentration of OH minus ions will be less and therefore the solution will be defined as acidic. In the same manner, if we go to the opposite extent of this, wherein we can say that OH ion concentration is very high. If OH ion is high, it means that the H plus concentration is less and therefore the solution will be alkaline in nature. With this concept, we can say that if the concentration of the solution is less than 7 with reference to H plus ion, then the solution will be defined as an acidic. If the concentration of H plus ion is very less as compared to 7, then it will be defined as a basic, and if it is neutral, then we can call the solution as an acidic. Now this concept of pH scale was given by Soren Sorensen in 1909. He was the first who invented this pH scale. So we can say that the Sorensen scale, he is the pioneer who has given us the measuring of molarity with reference to H plus ion concentration into the solution. And he did this when he wanted to measure the acidity of beer in brewery. This pH scale helps in measuring the concentration of H plus ion in a solution. If more H plus ions are present, stronger is the solution, and therefore we can say it is acidic in nature. Based on this idea, the pH values and different concentration of hydrogen ion or the hydronium ion, that is H3O plus, a scale was devised, and that is called as the Sorensen scale. The name is been given to this scale on the inventor who has developed it for the first time, that is Soren Sorensen. This scale, it starts with pH 0, that is onto the lower side, and to the maximum it reaches to 14. When we say that the pH is 0, that means the hydrogen ion concentration is 1. And in this situation, the solution, we can define it as acidic. In the same manner, as we go ahead, that is into the increasing order of the numbers, the severity of or the increase in H plus ion, it goes on increasing till 7, and at 7 it becomes neutral. Later, with increase in the numbers, the number of H plus ion into the solution, it falls down, and therefore we can say more OH minus ions are present. More OH minus ions means the hydronium ions are present. Therefore, the range between 7 to 14 will be defined as a basic, whereas the range between 0 to 6.9 will be defined as an acidic, whereas the 7 is defined as the neutral, and which is actually the pH of pure water. Now this pH scale, as I said, corresponds to concentration of hydrogen ion. The best example here to describe is pure water. You can see there are different gradation of the color. The red color, as it moves ahead till 6, the intensity of red color, it decreases, and therefore I can say that if the pH is 1, the solution has to be very strong, and as it moves to 6 or 6.9, the solution is still remaining acidic, but it will become a weak acid. In the same manner, you can see here a small band which is shown with green coloration, and this band is defining the range of the solution which is neutral, that is for pure water. Next to this is again the shades of blue and purple. Here you can say as you move ahead from 8 to 14, the depth of the coloration, it increases, and therefore the solution becomes strong alkaline. In other way, I can say that if the solution is weak, it will show less of OH minus ion concentration as compared to the solution which has the pH as 14, wherein large number of OH minus ions are present, right? Therefore, on this basis, we can define acids as the substances which has the tendency to dissociate and from H plus ions into the water, and therefore such substances, they are called as proton donors. The best example which you all are familiar with is HCl. In the same manner, the bases are the substances that dissociate in water and form OH minus ions, and therefore such substances, they are called as proton acceptors. Example is NaOH. Now, how do we measure this pH? There are three different modes or methods by which the pH can be measured. It can be measured by using the pH strip, that is the pH papers you can say, which is commonly been used in the laboratory. Other than that, there is the liquid pH indicator, which also enables us to understand the pH of the solution, and more authentic is with the help of pH meter, which is used in the research lab. Now there are different indicators which are commonly used in lab with showing various pH range, and those are phenolphthalein, methyl orange, bromophenol blue, methyl red, phenol red, and litmus. Phenolphthalein, you know, it is colorless solution and it is showing appearance of pink color when the solution is basic in nature. Its pH ranges between 9.3 to 10.5. Likewise, if I talk about methyl orange, this will show yellow development of yellow color in the basic solution, and in acidic solution it appears to be red in color. The pH ranges between 3.1 to 4.6. Likewise, the bromophenol blue in acidic solution will help in changing the color of the solution to yellow, whereas in basic solution it appears as blue and the pH ranges between 3 to 4.6. Likewise, methyl red, it appears red in acidic and yellow in basic solution, and the pH ranges between 4.4 to 6.2. Similarly, phenol red with the pH 6.8 to 8.4 appears yellow in acidic solutions, whereas in basic it appears red. In the same manner, the litmus, it shows the coloration, or it shows the pH range between 4.5 to 8.3, appears red in acidic solution and blue in the basic solution. By observing these various different color changes, one can easily identify the solution as an acidic solution or a basic solution, and at the same time we can get an normal range of the solution. Exact range, if you want to know, then if exact range, I should not say, exact pH if you want to know, then we need to subject the solution to the measurement of pH meter. Whereas if you just want to know the pH range, then you can very well use the pH indicator or the pH paper, that is called as the litmus paper. Now, pH meter. This pH meter you might have seen in the laboratories, and it is used to measure the acidity or alkalinity of the solution. It measures H plus ion concentration using the sensitive electrode, which is an ion electrode. Now here the black is the jacket in which there is an electrode which is sensitive to H plus ion concentration, and because the electric current is passed through, it helps us to get the digital number here, which shows actually the measure of the H plus ion concentration into a specific solution. This pH meter is more reliable and convenient method to know the pH of the solution. Now let us talk about buffers. Buffers are the solutions which resist change in pH on small additions of acids or base. Typically, these buffers, they are made by the mixture of weak acid and their conjugate bases, or weak bases and their conjugate acids. There are two different types of buffers seen. The first one is called as acidic buffer, and this acidic buffer is been made by forming the combination of weak acid and a salt of this weak acid with a strong base. Example is acetate buffer, which is made by addition of acetic acid and its salt, that is sodium acetate. In the same manner, if we talk about the second type of buffer, which is the basic buffer, this basic buffer is a mixture of weak base and a salt of this weak base with a strong acid. So the example is ammonium hydroxide and ammonium chloride. When they are mixed together, it gives rise to ammonium buffer, which is actually a basic buffer. Now let us try to focus on working of buffer. These buffer, they bring about equilibrium between acid and base. Now to understand this equilibrium between acid and base, I have taken an example of acetate buffer, which is made by acetic acid and the sodium salt of acetate, that is sodium acetate. So this acetic acid, when it is hydrolyzed or ionized, it gives CH3COO minus and it gives H plus ion concentration, or hydrogen ions are, you can say, liberated free. If more H plus ions are added in the solution, it shifts the equilibrium to the left. That means if you're adding these H plus ions more here, then there is a chance wherein the equation will go into the reverse order. And by absorbing H plus ions, so that the H plus ions will not affect the pH of the solution. And that is how we can say that this acetate buffer, it will retain its same pH even if there is addition of more amount of H plus ions. If H plus ions are removed from the solution, so how are you going to remove this? By addition of OH minus ion, then the equilibrium will shift to the right, and this will help in release of H plus ion. Therefore, the pH remains constant in both the cases. Now, we will try to focus on the next concept, that is Henderson-Hasselbalch equation. For this, consider a weak acid that is represented by Ha, which gets dissociated as H plus and A minus ion. Now, the dissociation constant is given by Ka, and therefore the equation at equilibrium will be concentration of H plus ion multiplied by concentration of A minus ions whole divided by concentration of Ha, that is a acid, that is a weak acid. Now for this equation, we will take log on either side. So you get log Ka is equal to log of H plus ion multiplied by log of Ha minus whole divided by log of Ha. Now this can be rearranged as log of Ka is equal to log of H plus minus log of Ha whole divided by log of Ha. You know that log of H plus ion is actually, you can say, is nothing but pH. But here the sign has to be negative, and therefore what we can say is log of Ka is equal to pH minus log of A minus upon Ha. Therefore, multiplying entire equation by minus 1, we have minus pKa is equal to minus pH plus log of log of A minus whole divided by Ha, or now this minus pH, if you take onto the left side, it becomes pH is equal to pKa plus log of Ha whole divided by log of HA, or pKa is equal to proton acceptor upon proton donor. Depending on this Henderson-Hasselbalch equation, we can say buffers can be classified into two types, that is acidic buffer and basic buffer. In case of acidic buffer, the equation becomes pH is equal to pKa plus log of concentration of salt upon log of concentration of acid. Whereas in case of basic buffer, POH, which is the representation of basic buffer, is given as pKa plus log of concentration of salt upon log of concentration of base. Now, what is buffering capacity? The efficiency of a buffer to resist change in pH is called as buffering capacity, and it is denoted by beta. The formula for buffering capacity is beta equal to delta B whole divided by delta pH. Delta B is the gram equivalent of strong acid or a base to change pH of 1 liter of the solution, and delta pH is the pH change caused by addition of strong acid or the base to the solution. Greater is the pH capacity, less is the pH change. Therefore, choose a buffer whose pKa will be always equal to the desired pH. Now, this is a note which you should always keep in mind when you're working with pH of the solutions. pH should be within pKa, or it should be plus minus 1. So what are the different factors which affects the pH or the buffering capacity? It is the ratio of salt to acids and base, or the total buffer concentration. I hope with this you have understood the basics of pH and buffer, and in next class I'll be talking about the biological buffers, right? Till then, stay home, stay safe.